You know that feeling. When you walk into a room and your eye just lands on something beautiful, like a really stunning rug,
Mhm.
could be the colors, maybe the intricate patterns, or just, how it anchors the whole space.
Yeah, it really can define a room.
And you often find yourself wondering, okay, what's the story here? Who actually made this? What history is woven right into it?
Exactly.
Well, today on the deep dive, we're going to pull back that curtain. We're plunging into the fascinating, really layered world of Oriental and Persian carpets.
Yeah, it's a deep topic.
And our mission for this deep dive is to explore one particular style many of you have probably seen, maybe even own, the Bokhara rug. We want to trace its pretty surprising journey and uncover all the different forms it takes around the world.
That's right. Our goal here is basically to take all the sources you've given us and really pull out the key bits of knowledge, the important insights.
Kind of the highlights reel.
Sort of, yeah. Give you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. We want to share some surprising facts, maybe trigger a few aha moments. So by the end, you won't just see a rug. You'll see this whole tapestry of history, culture, incredible craftsmanship. You'll appreciate these amazing creations on a totally new level.
Okay, let's jump right in then. When you hear Bokhara rug, I think most people, me included, probably assume it comes from a city called Bokhara.
Right. That's the logical assumption, yeah. Like French wine from France.
Exactly. But I'm guessing it's not quite that simple.
And that's our first big aha moment, really. While Bokhara is the term everyone uses for these beautiful, often teca-faced rugs, the idea they come directly from the city of Bukhara in Uzbekistan. Well, that's actually a really common misconception.
Ah, okay. So why the name then?
Because Bukhara was and still is this major historic trade center. Think Silk Road crossroads for centuries. Weavers from all over the region, especially those Turkmen tribes, would bring their amazing rugs to this big, bustling city to sell them, to export them.
So it was the marketplace, not the factory floor, so to speak.
Precisely. Over time, the city's name just got attached to the style of rug that was heavily traded there. Even if the rug itself was woven, maybe hundreds of miles away in a nomadic tent or some village workshop.
Yeah.
And this thing, where a trade hub gives its name to a product from a wider area, it actually tells you a lot about how trade history worked. It shows how influential those old marketplaces were in shaping how we see goods globally, way more than the exact spot they were made.
So the name reflects the city's commercial power, not necessarily its weaving output for this specific style.
Exactly. It's an echo of the Silk Road's influence, really.
That's fascinating. Okay, so if the design didn't start in the city of Bukhara, where did this really distinctive, iconic style actually begin? What are its true roots, artistically and culturally?
Right. The real origins go deep into the weaving traditions of Central Asian Turkmen tribes. Specifically, we're talking about the Teka tribe. They historically lived in the region around Bukhara.
Okay, the Teka tribe.
Yeah. For centuries, these were semi-nomadic people. Their lives were totally tied to their animals, the huge open landscapes of the steppes. They were the ones who first created these patterns we now call Bokhara.
So what defines that pattern? What should you look for?
The thing that really dominates these rugs are rows of these distinct motifs called gulls.
Gulls.
G-U-L-S, gulls. It's not just a random shape, it's iconic. Often it's like an octagonal or maybe a diamond shape. Sometimes people say it looks like an elephant's footprint or maybe a kind of abstract flower emblem.
Okay.
And these gulls repeat in these neat, rhythmic rows across the rug. It's almost like a signature, a visual symbol of the tribe that wove it. It carries their identity, their heritage right there in the threads. That repetition, that symmetry, that's the heart of the Teka style. It's like a visual language they developed over generations.
Wow. So it's like reading a story in the pattern.
In a way, yes. And there's another interesting historical layer, too. Some historians think the Tek might have actually absorbed some design elements from another tribe, the Sailor tribe.
Oh, another Turkmen group.
Yeah, also powerful, also from near Bukhara.
Yeah.
The idea is maybe after the Teka defeated the Sailor in some conflict way back when, they sort of assimilated some of their designs.
Like weaving the symbols of the conquered into their own art.
Kind of like that, yeah. A form of cultural blending, maybe?
Yeah.
It adds this layer of, historical intrigue, how patterns evolve through conflict and contact. So, bottom line, Bukhara city was the trading hub, but the artistic birthplace that was out there with the nomadic traditions of these Central Asian tribes.
That's a much richer story than just rug from Bokhara. Okay, so it starts with these Central Asian tribes carrying their identity. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for me. How did a design from such a specific sort of localized tradition become this global thing, recognized everywhere? It's not just a regional item anymore.
Right, and that's all about migration, adaptation, and trade. It's a really cool story. Over centuries, people moved, trade routes shifted, empires rose and fell, and the art of weaving these Bokhara-style rugs spread way beyond the Techie lands.
Okay, where did it spread to significantly?
One of the biggest places where this design really took root and got reinterpreted was Pakistan. When we talk about Pakistani Bokharas today, we're talking about rugs that use that core Bokhara design. But Pakistani artisans didn't just copy it, they refined it. They brought their own skills, used local materials, adapted techniques. They created a look and feel that's distinctively Pakistani.
So they put their own spin on it.
Definitely. They kept the essence but made it their own. So the key takeaway for you is, the design started with the tech in Central Asia, but rugs with that Bokhara design are now made all over the carpet weaving world.
Like where else besides Pakistan?
Oh, Iran, India, Turkey, Afghanistan, and of course they still make them in Central Asia too. It's amazing, really. A regional design that just went global. It shows how powerful and adaptable those old patterns are.
That is remarkable. A tribal design going universal. So it makes sense then, if Bokhara rugs are made in so many places now, they can't all be identical.
Not at all.
What are the key differences? Let's start with the Pakistani Bokhara, since you said it's become so important.
Good place to start. Because, like our sources say, Pakistani Bokharas are some of the most popular handmade rugs in the whole world today. They've really found a huge market.
Why is that? What makes them so popular?
Well, look at how they're made. They typically use this specific mix of materials. Some NZ worsted wool, that's fine. Long staple wool from New Zealand blended with local Pakistani wool. And this blend is woven onto a strong cotton base or foundation.
Okay, NZ and local wool on cotton. How does that affect the rug?
That material choice leads directly to one of their defining features, a really soft and thick pile. Think, plush carpet versus a tightly clipped lawn, that kind of difference.
The luxurious underfoot.
Very much so. And the length of that pile can actually vary a bit depending on how they clip it when they finish the rug. Sometimes you even find something called a double pile.
Double pile.
Yeah, where they intentionally leave the wool strands much longer, almost double the usual length sometimes. It gives you this incredibly plush, sink your feet in kind of feel. Super luxurious.
Sounds amazing. Is there a downside?
Well, just like if you have really long grass, it can be harder to see the tiny details of the flowers beneath. With a double pile, the really fine lines of the pattern might look a tiny bit less sharp. It's a trade-off. Amazing softness versus super crisp pattern definition.
Got it. Comfort versus clarity. How are they actually woven?
Generally, they're made on stationary vertical looms. Picture a big upright frame. The weaver sits there tying every single knot by hand. It allows for amazing precision, consistent tension.
And it takes a while, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. Hand knotting a typical Pakistani Bokhara, say an average room size, it usually takes about 5 to 6 months. It's incredibly labor-intensive work.
Wow, 5 or 6 months. What about the knots themselves?
They mostly use the symmetrical knot. In Pakistan, they often call it the single knot. Think of it like tying a tiny square knot around 2 of the vertical warp threads. This makes each little tuft of color stand up quite crisply.
Which helps the pattern look clear.
Exactly. It really contributes to that sharp clarity you often see in the single pile Pakistani Bokharas. You'll find them in different qualities based on knot density and a huge range of colors. Modern ones use synthetic dyes, but these are really good quality, guaranteed not to fade easily.
So, tying it all together, why the popularity?
It's that combination. They feel wonderfully soft and luxurious. That heavy pile is really appealing. They have attractive colors, look great, and importantly, they tend to be more affordable compared to some other handmade rugs of similar quality and craftsmanship.
Right.
So for you, the listener, thinking about a rug for your home or office, these qualities, the softness, the look, the durability, the price point they make, Pakistani Bokhara is a really practical and appealing choice. Great balance of beauty, comfort, and value.
That makes a lot of sense. A really comprehensive picture of the Pakistani Bokhara. Sounds like they hit a sweet spot for many people. But I'm curious, what about someone looking for something closer to the design's nomadic roots? What would they find in a Central Asian Bokhara? How does that history show up in the rug itself?
That's a great question, and it really highlights the diversity. Central Asian Bokharas, the ones still woven near the historic city, they are closer to that traditional root. They represent an older aesthetic. But they're also harder to find on the market today. Production is more limited, geopolitics play a role.
Makes sense.
Historically, and often still, these were made by nomads or semi-nomads on horizontal looms. Looms you could actually pack up and transport.
Right, because they were moving around.
Exactly. This lifestyle demanded a different kind of rug. Super tough, made to be rolled up, carried, survived harsh conditions. So the whole production method is fundamentally different from those big stationary looms in Pakistan.
And the knot. Is that different too?
Usually, yes. Central Asian Bokharas often use the Sena knot. In Pakistan, they call that the double knot. Unlike the symmetrical knot that wraps two warps, the Sena, or asymmetrical knot, loops around just one warp thread, then wraps again.
What does that allow for?
It lets weavers pack in way more knots per square inch, a much higher pixel count, if you like. This means a tighter, denser pile, and it's much shorter than the Pakistani ones.
Shorter pile. Why?
Partly the knotting, partly the type of wool, often local, really tough sheep wool, and partly because they clip the pile much shorter. But that shorter, denser pile, it allows for incredibly intricate designs. Each knot contributes to finer detail.
So maybe less plush, but more detailed.
Generally, yes. The individual design bits might have a slightly softer edge than the crisp symmetrical knot, but the overall complexity can be much higher.
Interesting. What about colors and materials?
The color palette is often those classic rusts, deep reds, rich browns, often from natural vegetable dyes used for centuries, very earthy, organic, timeless feel. And the base is usually wool, not cotton like many Pakistani ones, which adds to the durability and natural feel. You might find synthetic dyes now too, but the tradition is strong.
So what's the reputation overall?
They're really highly regarded for their deep beauty, their very high quality, and just exceptional durability. They're built to last generations, often becoming treasured heirlooms, true works of art.
It's amazing how materials, knots, looms, everything creates such a different feel and look. So we have the plush Pakistani, the dense, intricate Central Asian. What about Afghan Bokharas? Where do they fit in this picture, especially being so close geographically and culturally to Central Asia?
Afghan Bokharas definitely share a lot with their Central Asian cousins. Makes total sense given the proximity. Like the Central Asian ones, they often use that asymmetrical knot, the double knot. And they're typically woven by Afghans who are ethnically Turkoman. So it's a direct link back to those ancestral weaving traditions we talked about, a real continuation of that lineage.
So what does that mean for the rug itself?
It means you get very tight knotting and a dense, shorter pile. Again, similar to Central Asian and quite different from the longer, softer Pakistani pile. This tight structure is key to their amazing durability. These rugs are made to last.
What about the base materials?
Usually wool bases, reflecting the traditional materials, but you can also find Afghan Bokharas with cotton bases and even some luxurious silk ones, offering different textures and sheens depending on the specific rug and its intended market.
And looms and colors.
They use both vertical and horizontal looms, showing the mix of production styles within Afghanistan. Color-wise, you see a lot of those rich rusts and deep reds, echoing the regional palette. Modern dyes are usually synthetic, though you can still find traditional dyes, too.
And their reputation, how are they regarded?
Much like the Central Asian ones, Afghan Bokharas are highly respected for their quality, the clarity and beauty of their designs. The gulls are often very precisely drawn, and their extreme durability. That combination makes them really sought after, especially if you want a beautiful, long-lasting rug with that tangible link to Central Asian nomadic art.
It really is amazing. One design name, Bokhara, but all these distinct regional dialects, each with its own feel, its own look, its own strengths.
Exactly. It shows how adaptable and creative these traditions are, and it gives buyers real choices depending on what they value most: plushness, intricate detail, historical connection.
Yeah, different characteristics for different needs and tastes. Okay, let's unpack this a bit wider now. We've gone deep on Bokharas. But what about the bigger picture of carpet weaving in Pakistan? You mentioned they're a major player. It can't all be Bokharas, right?
Absolutely not. Pakistan has this incredibly rich, long history in carpet weaving. We're talking over 600 years, going back to the martial rule in India. So it's not new. It's built on centuries of skill and artistry passed down.
Wow, 600 years.
Yeah. And what's really key is Pakistan's shared cultural and religious heritage with Persia, modern-day Iran. This means Pakistani carpets often use the same intricate weaving techniques,
Yeah.
the same artistic styles as Iranian carpets. They're like cousins in craftsmanship.
So a strong Persian influence.
Very strong.
Yeah.
But it's not just Persian. Because of where Pakistan is, you also see a beautiful blend of Caucasian and even Turkish design elements woven in. It creates this incredibly diverse, artistically rich landscape. You find intricate florals, bold geometrics, all with a distinct Pakistani execution.
That's quite a mix. Now, is this happening in big factories today, or is it more traditional?
That's one of the fascinating things. Contemporary carpet weaving in Pakistan, it's mostly remained a cottage industry, meaning the vast majority aren't made in big industrial factories. They're made in people's homes. Individual dwellings might have several looms set up.
In homes?
Yeah. It paints this picture of decentralized, really artisanal production. Skills passed down through families, communities, grandmothers teaching granddaughters, fathers teaching sons. It's deeply personal, deeply embedded in the community fabric.
Where does most of this happen? Is it spread out?
It's fairly concentrated geographically. About 70% of the weaving happens within roughly a 400-mile radius of Lahore. That's the capital of Punjab province, a real historical hub for weavers.
Okay, Lahore area mostly.
Then Karachi, the big city in Sindh province, accounts for maybe 20%. And the last 10% or so comes from areas around Quetta and Peshawar, closer to the Afghan border where you might see more tribal influences. This spread shows regional specialties, but underlines that community-based, very human scale of the industry. It's handcraft holding strong.
That's quite something, keeping it as a cottage industry. What about the general quality? The materials used in Pakistani carpets overall, beyond just Bokharas?
Generally, they use high-quality wools, often blends of imported wool, like that fine New Zealand stuff, and resilient local Pakistani wools. This blend gives you durability, a good feel, nice aesthetics.
Is there a standard quality level people talk about?
A common benchmark you'll hear is 1618 quality.
1618, what does that mean?
Imagine drawing a 1-inch square on the back of the rug. In that tiny square, you'd count about 16 knots going one way and 18 going the other. That works out to roughly 288 knots per square inch.
That sounds like a lot of knots in 1 square inch.
It's incredibly dense handwork. Think of it like pixels in a high-res image, but all tied by hand. This high knot count gives the rug amazing durability, stops the pile from crushing easily, and allows for really fine, crisp details in the patterns. And the 1618 quality, it's the most common quality you'll find for Pakistani Persian-design carpets today.
Ah, so not just Bokharas. They use this quality for other designs too.
Oh, absolutely. Pakistani weavers are masters at reproducing those really intricate, classic Persian patterns. You know, names like Kashan, Tabriz, Nain, Isfahan.
Right, those famous Persian city names.
Exactly. While a Bokhara has those repeating gulls, a Kashan might have a huge central medallion with flowing floral vines. Totally different look. A Tabriz could have geometric medallions or dense flower patterns. Nains and Isfahans often feature these incredible curves, almost like paintings.
And those need more knots.
Significantly more,
Yeah.
usually. To capture all that fine detail, those curves, the complexity, it often requires a higher knot count than a traditional Bokhara. It really showcases the incredible skill level of these weavers. While 1618 is common, you do find other qualities, maybe ranging from around 195 up to 324 knots per square inch.
Higher knot counts possible too then.
Yes, but it's worth knowing, the absolute highest knot counts, we're talking maybe over 500 knots per square inch. You typically only see those in smaller rugs, like 4 by 6 feet or smaller. The time and sheer precision needed for that level of fineness makes large rugs incredibly rare and very expensive.
Makes sense. So Pakistani weaving is diverse, skilled, covers many styles. Within Pakistan itself, how did the Bokhara style evolve? You mentioned Mori and Jaldar earlier.
Yeah, that's a great example of how tradition meets new ideas and market tastes. Up until about the 1970s, Pakistani Bokharas mostly stuck to that classic look, the repeating octagonal gull based very closely on the original Central Asian Turkoman design. That was the Pakistani Bokhara.
The traditional style.
Right. But today, while Bokharas are still a big part of production, they mostly come in two distinct, very popular styles that grew out of that tradition, Mori and Jaldar.
Okay, Mori first. What's that like?
Mori Bokharas are the ones that keep that traditional gull motif. They're the direct descendants, visually. But what's cool now is the huge range of colors. You can get them in the classic reds, rusts, ivories, timeless. But they've also totally embraced modern decor trends. You find soft pastels, trendy fashion colors like peach, coral, different grays, even blues.
So they fit into more modern homes now too.
Exactly. That color versatility makes Mori Bokharas incredibly adaptable. They can work in a super traditional room or a sleek modern one.
And the Jaldar style.
Yeah.
You said that was newer.
Yeah, Jaldar is a more recent, really innovative development. These tend to have bolder, more geometric, contemporary style designs. Interestingly, they also pull inspiration from motifs found in nomadic Caucasian rugs, known for their distinct, often angular, abstract patterns.
So a different aesthetic from the Mori.
Definitely. It gives Jaldar Bokharas a unique look that's different from the purely Turkoman-inspired Mori. It's a fresh take on the Bokhara idea. Jaldars usually have a knot count between maybe 162 and 200 knots per square inch. Slightly different texture, maybe a more open or graphic feel compared to some denser Moris.
And sizes, can you get both styles in different sizes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Both Mori and Jaldar come in a full range. Tiny 1-foot squares for accents, huge room-sized rugs, long runners for hallways, pretty much any size you might need for a home or business. It's this constant dance, honoring the tradition while innovating for today.
It really is amazing how one core design can be endlessly reinterpreted. Colors, patterns, sizes, keeping the essence but always evolving.
Yeah.
Shows why classics stay classic.
Exactly.
So, after all this, if you're listening and you're captivated by these rugs, the history, the craft, the sheer beauty, and maybe you're thinking about bringing one into your own space, how do you even begin to navigate this? It feels complex with all the origins, variations, technical bits.
That is precisely the point where expert guidance and good services become, well, not just helpful, but really essential. Think about it. You wouldn't try to navigate, say, the stock market or buy a serious piece of art without some expert advice.
Right. Too much at stake, too much to know.
Exactly. And fine carpets are similar. They have deep history, varying qualities. They can even be investments. These aren't just floor coverings. They're hand-knotted art, often representing months, sometimes years, of skilled human work. We can use Babak's Oriental carpets as a solid example of the kind of resource that's out there.
Okay. What makes that kind of resource valuable?
Well, first, the power of experience. Take Dr. Hushang Rizwani. He built a respected carpet business over 35 years in Austria. Now he brings that deep knowledge, that eye for quality and authenticity to Victoria and Vancouver. It's not just about selling, it's about connecting people with genuinely significant pieces.
And you mentioned generational knowledge, too.
Yes, that's huge in the ruck world.
Yeah.
Babak Rizwani, his son, runs the Victoria showroom. He literally grew up in the business, surrounded by carpets his whole life.
So he just absorbed it all.
Pretty much. It gives him this vast, almost intuitive understanding of carpets from all over, especially Persian ones. So for you, the listener, that means you get a guide who can turn a simple purchase into this really educational, enriching experience. Babak loves this stuff, the history, the techniques, the investment side, the quality. He enjoys sharing that knowledge. That kind of personal expertise helps you make a decision you'll feel good about for years.
That makes sense. It's about trust and knowledge. Beyond the expertise, what kinds of services make a real difference when you're getting something so significant? It feels like it should be more than just buying it off a shelf.
You're spot on. It's way more than a simple transaction. Reputable experts offer services that support the whole process and the life of the rug afterwards. Using Babak's as our example again, they offer worldwide shipping. So geography isn't a barrier.
That's important. What else?
Maintenance and care are crucial. These things are meant to last generations if cared for properly. So expert carpet repair and professional cleaning services are vital for preserving the rug's beauty and value.
Right, protecting your investment.
Exactly. And understanding value, they offer appraisal services. Super useful if you have older pieces, or for insurance or estate planning. They also offer flexibility. A trade-in and purchase encounter lets you maybe upgrade later, change your decor, or sell pieces if your needs change.
That's handy.
Transparency is key too, providing detailed info sheets on every carpet materials, knot count, origin, story. You know exactly what you're getting. Then there's convenience, like free delivery service, though always good to check the specifics.
And trying it out first. That seems important for a rug.
Absolutely crucial. Offering trials at no obligation, letting you take the rug home, see it in your space with your light, your furniture before you commit. That gives you real confidence it's the perfect fit.
Yeah, that would make a huge difference.
And underlying all of this is just having knowledgeable professional staff there to help you answer questions, guide you personally. These services aren't just extras. They show a real commitment to the craft, the product, and you, the customer. They help you invest wisely in something that's art, history, and enduring beauty.
It sounds like a whole support system for appreciating and owning these pieces.
That's a good way to put it. And of course, making it easy to connect, Clear address, phone, email, even text options, listed hours. It's all part of making that expertise accessible.
Well, we've certainly journeyed far today. From nomadic tents in Central Asia, tracing those threads to the cottage industries of Pakistan, uncovering the really fascinating, often surprising story behind the Bokhara rug. We saw how a name can tell the story about trade, not just place.
Yeah, and we saw how one single design idea can be taken up, interpreted, adapted across different cultures, different regions, leading to this amazing range of beautiful, durable rugs. Each type, the plush Pakistani, the dense Central Asian, the tough Afghan, each has its own unique character, telling its own part of the story.
So now, hopefully, you have a much deeper sense of what makes a Bokhara special, where that design really came from, and the key things that make one different from another. And maybe also a sense of why having an expert guide can be so valuable in this rich, complex world.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. The next time you see a beautiful rug, maybe in a shop, maybe in someone's home, maybe even hanging in a museum, how might knowing a bit more about its possible origins, its knots, its materials, its regional dialect, how might that deepen how you appreciate it, how you see the artistry, the incredible human effort, the cultural story woven right into it?
Think about those stories in the fibers, yeah. The centuries of history may be carried in those patterns. What hidden narratives might you start to uncover in the objects all around you once you begin looking a little closer, asking a few more questions, letting things reveal their deeper truths? We really hope this deep dive encourages you to do just that, to peel back the layers and find the stories waiting inside.